The night is thick with fog, the air heavy with an eerie stillness. You're standing on an empty road, the silence so dense it feels alive. Then, from the darkness, the distant rumble of an approaching bus shatters the quiet. Its headlights flicker, barely piercing the mist. Something about this bus feels wrong. It's your only way home, yet every instinct screams for you to run, but where would you go? You step forward, hesitating at the doors as they creak open. And that's when the real nightmare begins. Welcome, dear listeners, to a tale that will chill you to the bone, a journey through shadows where reality and the supernatural collide. Hold on tight, because once you step aboard, there's no turning back. Picture this, my friends. It's 2 o'clock in the dead of night, and you find yourself on a desolate crematorium road, cloaked in thick fog that swallows the world around you. The air is heavy, the silence oppressive, as you stand alone with only the sound of your anxious heartbeat. Suddenly, slicing through the eerie stillness, you hear the distant rumble of a bus approaching, its headlights struggling against the fog. It's the last bus bound for your home, your only hope of escape from this ghostly stretch of road. But there's something unsettling about this bus. You can't help but feel that it doesn't merely transport passengers, it leads them to a destination, shrouded in shadow, a place where fear lurks in the corners of your mind. With every passing moment, your imagination spins dreadful scenarios. What if this bus doesn't take you home, but drags you into an unfathomable nightmare? Your pulse quickens and dread creeps in. This journey may lead to a fate more sinister than you could ever comprehend. Now let me tell you about a chilling account from China, an experience so uncanny that it still sends shivers down the spine of those who hear it. It revolves around the infamous bus route 375, a seemingly ordinary line connecting Yuan to Pregnant Hills, covering a mere 16 kilometers. Let me assure you, though, this was no ordinary ride. On a chilling night, November 14, 1995, this bus set out on its regular route, but an ominous air hung over it as it rolled past the Summer Palace. As the bus slowed, 4 figures materialized from the mist, silhouettes in the gloom. A couple, an elderly woman and a young man, both weary and hopeful, desperate for a ride. Inside, only 2 souls awaited them, the driver and the conductor. The atmosphere was tense, thick with uncertainty. As the couple settled behind the driver, the old woman and young man faced each other, the dim light creating shadows that danced nervously on the bus's interior. The clock chimed 2 a.m., marking the beginning of what would become a harrowing journey. The fog enveloped the bus like a living thing, and visibility was reduced to almost nothing. The driver's heart raced as he weighed his options. Should they continue down this treacherous path where fate felt like it hung by a thread? "Let's take another route," suggested the elderly conductor, anxiety creeping into her voice. The young man nodded in fervent agreement, urging caution against the unseen dangers lurking in the fog. But the couple, with an air of reckless defiance, urged the driver to press on. "It's just a few more minutes. We'll be home before you know it," they insisted, their voices slicing through the tension like a blade. Compelled by their confidence, the driver acquiesced, choosing to follow the perilous route. As the last of the passengers disembarked, the air thickened with impending doom. Now, only 4 souls remained aboard this haunted vessel: the driver, the conductor, the old woman, and the young man. Silence enveloped the bus, a potent mix of nerves and darkness wrapping around them, as the road twisted like a serpent through the night. The jungle outside loomed ominously, each moment stretched into eternity as they strained against the shadows. The only sound was the low hum of the engine and the occasional groan of the bus's frame. Suddenly, without warning, the driver slammed on the brakes, the bus jolting forward violently. The young man's heart raced against his chest, dread flooding his senses. "What are you doing? Can't you see? We're driving blind in this fog." He could feel the panic gripping him, an icy dread crawling up his spine. What lay ahead on this cursed bus route? The stories spoke of the unknown, of souls lost in the fog, of choices that led to irrevocable consequences. Each twist of the tale unfolded like a nightmare, cloaked in the mystery of unsolved horrors. A chill wrapped around their fates, entwining them with the shadows of their decisions, and the pulse of something far darker echoed through the night. Stay with me, for this journey has only just begun, and the true horror of this bus ride, as it hurtles forward into the unknown, will chill you to the core. What happens next will transform the mundane into the unimaginable as these unsuspecting passengers stand on the threshold of terror, and you, dear listeners, are right there with them, bracing for what lies beyond the fog. As the bus careened to a halt, the driver's hands gripped the wheel tightly, sweat glistening on his brow. The fog outside thickened, swirling like a living entity, and a palpable tension filled the air inside the bus. The young man glanced nervously at the old woman, whose expression was unreadable, a mix of fear and resignation, as if she had seen too much already. "Why did you stop?" the young man demanded, his voice echoing against the walls of the bus. "We need to keep moving. We can't stay here." But there was no immediate answer. The driver stared straight ahead into the impenetrable darkness, straining his eyes against the fog that wrapped around them like a vice. The conductor looked nervously at her companions, her instincts screaming that this was not a safe place to linger. Moments turned into eternities, the silence gnawing at their nerves. Then, out of the stillness, came a strange sound, soft at first, but growing louder. An echo, as if someone or something was walking outside, its footsteps crunching against the gravel of the road. The young man's heart raced, his breath quickened as he strained to listen, his mind racing with possibilities. Was it just his imagination, fueled by the eerie ambient? "Did you hear that?" he breathed, glancing back at the old woman, whose face had gone pale. Before she could respond, the driver spoke up, his voice low and filled with trepidation. "Stay quiet. It could be just another passenger, or something else." But as the sound grew closer, it was clear that whatever approached them was not human. The atmosphere grew dense with an otherworldly energy. It was as if the very essence of the night was alive with dread. The bus lights flickered, illuminating the shadows that crept closer, revealing fleeting silhouettes that melted back into the fog, just beyond the bus's reach. Suddenly, the door of the bus swung open with a merciless creak, as if beckoning them to the abyss beyond. The cold night air swept in, wrapping around them like icy fingers, sending shivers down their spines. Hearts racing, they glanced instinctively towards the opening, where a figure stood half hidden in the swirling mist. "Is someone there?" the driver called out, trying to mask his fear with bravado. But as the figure stepped forward, the light caught its features, twisted, foreboding, and impossibly pale. A face staring back at them that belonged to neither the living nor the dead. The old woman gasped, clutching her chest as dread cascaded over them. "It's a ghost!" she choked, though even that word felt insufficient for the horror they faced. This was the moment when the bus became not just a mode of transport, but a coffin on wheels, a vessel on a hellish journey. The figure raised a hand, beckoning them, with a slow, deliberate motion, as if luring them into a realm from which there was no return. "Turn back! the young man shouted, panic overtaking his senses. "We need to leave, now!" But the driver sat paralyzed by fear, caught in a battle between disbelief and the raw terror of the unknown. Meanwhile, the old woman murmured a soft prayer under her breath, her gaze locked on the figure, her essence shrinking away from its presence. Desperate to escape, the young man leapt to the door, flinging it wide open. But as he did, the fog surged in with a chilling laugh, wrapping around him like a shroud. "Don't go out there!" the driver yelled, adrenaline surging as he reached to pull him back. But in an instant, the night swallowed the young man, echoing with his desperate screams. The bus erupted into chaos, the once muted sounds of fear tearing through the gloom. The old woman's sobs blended with the driver's frantic shouts, and the conductor covered her mouth with trembling hands, horrified by what had just unfolded. The presence in the fog shifted, the darkness growing thicker as if feeding off their fear. The remaining three felt the walls of the bus close in, time stretching impossibly as dread settled deep in their hearts. The chilling realization coursed through them. This bus wouldn't deliver them home, but rather to the edge of an unfathomable demise. As the bus's engine sputtered ominously, lights glowing dimmer, they knew they had to act, perhaps even challenge their own destinies. "We can't just sit here," the old woman cried, her voice vibrant amid the encroaching horror. "We have to take a chance." With a raw surge of courage, the driver steadied himself, determined to navigate beyond the fog, beyond the unknown. "Hold on to something," he shouted, his voice almost lost in the cacophony of the night. The bus lurched forward, battling against the overwhelming darkness that threatened to consume them. As they sped into the unknown, the fog enveloped them once more, but their resolve began to fracture. Each moment felt like an eternity, the shadows dancing and weaving around them, taunting them with their inevitable fate. "Whatever happens, don't let go of hope," the old woman whispered fiercely, gripping the seat as if it were her lifeline. "We must believe we can make it through this." But just as victory seemed possible, the mist parted momentarily, unveiling a brief glimpse of the world beyond, a burning light in the distance, flickering like a lighthouse, guiding lost souls. Hope surged through them, igniting a desperate urge to reach for the light. The driver pressed the accelerator, pushing the bus as fast as it could go. But as they hurtled forward, the darkness grew angrier, retaliating with ghostly wails that clawed at their sanity. Faces appeared in the mist, hollow-eyed and lost, whispers weaving tales of despair. The end of the road drew closer, but they reached for hope, hearts pounding, determined not to buckle under the weight of fear. Finally, within their desperate grasp, they broke free from the fog's hold, bursting into the light, a blinding relief that flooded the bus like a tidal wave. But as that light enveloped them, they realized the truth. They had escaped the fog, yet each of them now bore a piece of the darkness within, the encounters forever etched into their souls. The bus rolled to a stop outside a warm-lit station, the door creaking open once again, but not as it had before. They stepped out, shaken, hearts racing with unanswered questions, for they understood the weight of their journeys. They had brushed against death and survived, only to carry with them the shadows of the lost souls forever. As the fog settled, heavily behind them, they glanced back at the now empty bus, the true mysteries it held sealed away. Each passenger bound by a haunting experience they could never escape, whispered tales now woven into the fabric of their beings, reminding them that some journeys lead not only to our destinations, but to deeper understandings of fear, choice, and fate. And so, dear friends, this harrowing tale whispers into the night, a reminder to tread carefully in the shadows, for you never know where the path may lead. And some nights, the fog may just be waiting for another soul to call home. The bus rolled to a stop, the fog swirling in its wake, whispering secrets only the night could understand. Those who stepped off carried more than just fear. They bore the weight of what they had witnessed, the touch of the unknown forever. Lingering in their souls, some say the road still echoes with the cries of the lost, that on certain nights, if you listen closely, you might hear the distant hum of an engine or the faint whisper of a voice calling from the mist. So, if you ever find yourself alone at 2 a.m. waiting for the last bus home, ask yourself, are you sure it's taking you where you want to go, or is it leading you somewhere far, far darker? Until next time, sleep well, if you can.